Welcome to Mangaroos, episode 7. I'm your host, Mark, and I've got here my fine friends.
Hey, it's me, Putty P. Jason. I'm in the place to be.
And I'm the enchanting diva, Alex.
I could not have said it better myself. Tonight we're going to talk about a story that's near and dear to my heart. It's called Paripi Kongming in Japanese, and I was surprised to learn that this has not only an English anime, but it has an English edition of the manga as well.
Oh.
Ya boy Kongming, for those of you
Your boy.
following along. It's your boy Kongming.
Hey.
I feel it. Yeah, no, nothing has made my heart gladder than to know that this series has already invaded the global market. Although I have not seen it yet, so I can't say if it's good or not. But this is something that I really wanted to introduce to, of course, my good friends here, but also everyone listening, because I am absolutely in love with Sangokushi, or the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, as they sometimes call it in English. I don't know how popular it is outside of Japan, but Three Kingdoms is so huge. I know it's not Japanese. I know it's Chinese, and I apologize in advance. I don't know the name of it in Chinese, nor do I know any of the characters' names outside of a Japanese context. I was surprised to learn that Koumei's name was Kongming. I was like, "Are you serious?" That was a bit of an eye opener to me. But please learn along with us.
It's not actually his name. His real name is Zhuge Liang.
That's some great Chinese pronunciation right there.
It's Yuto. That's probably his like a Shokatsurio name, right? And then he's got the little nickname, the Azana.
Yeah.
And that's Koumei. That's probably Kongming. Probably is what I'm thinking, but we're gonna get into this. It's awesome. Okay, so this thing is relatively new. It debuted in Kodansha's manga app Comic Days at the end of 2019. This was just before all of our lives were inalterably changed forever.
It was when we could be Party P.
When people were going to the club, having a good time dancing, all that was about to grind to a screeching halt 4 months later. But that did not stop two feckless warriors, Yuto, Yotsuba, and Ryo Ogawa from bringing the party to the people through this comic book act. And it was so popular, they got picked up and moved to the big leagues in late 2021, making the jump to Weekly Young Magazine, also put out by Kodansha. Anime debuted in April 2022, and it's just been going on strong from there. I think they're up to like they had it up to volume 8 at my local manga store, but I think they're out to like 12 or 13.
It looks like
it
it's
keeps going
finished
strong.
now.
Oh, is it done?
Yeah, it's done. The party is over.
Wait, so how many volumes did it get?
Was it like 15 or something? I don't know.
Wow.
I'll have to look that up.
Oh, man. I don't know how they stretched it out that long. Kudos to them.
Hey, if there's anything that can be stretched out longer than it needs to be, it's a manga series.
Yeah.
Amen to that. Well, both the manga and anime, as we mentioned, are available in English. This is not the first thing that Yuto Yotsuba has done. He's got a few other manga under his belt, but in this one, he is writing the story, and he's teamed up with illustrator Ogawa Ryo, who also has his own series going along. I can only imagine that they were at Kodansha one day and they were like, "Hey, I think you guys."
And they had a meet cute.
Meet cute.
That could explain the real interesting clash of tastes that's happening here.
Okay, we'll get into this. And
Hang on, what is Ogawa Ryo's other series? Do you know off the top of your head?
I do. No, I looked up to it. I looked into it.
You respect it greatly for its accomplishment.
I respect it greatly, and I used my detective skills on Twitter to find it out.
Yeah.
His other one is Shijin Keisatsu, which I
Yeah,
haven't read.
I was seeing
And
how
then
many
Sekido.
boobies were in it and how many butts were in it. 'Cause I was
Can we talk about the butts? Okay, good. I'm glad we're getting to that.
We're
nice
getting to the
and
butts.
early.
We have a question about that later on. Wait, I have to give the synopsis of the story though. That's my solemn duty as the host of this week's show. So basically, this entire story centers around probably one of the most fascinating characters in all of military history, if not history itself, Kongming. Who is one of the central figures of Three Kingdoms, Sangokushi. But he's not one of the kings or anything like that. He is the master strategist for Ryubi, who is one of the 3 kings in the Three Kingdoms, and this guy is just absolutely amazing. While these other guys are playing fucking checkers, he is playing like 3-dimensional chess in everything that he does. And he's always got these huge designs, and he's going to take Yubi and Shoku, which is the name of their kingdom, over, and just like they're just going to take down everyone. It doesn't work out in the story, and he ends
spoiler.
up... I know,
Yeah,
spoiler alert. Yeah, well, it's kind of a spoiler when you look at the map and you see that there's one big China place now.
The thing is, you see there's one big China, but you don't know whose China that was, like... So.
Okay.
Well, now we do, Alex.
No, that's
Now
right.
we
Well, you know it's not this guy's. No, they were actually the first to fall of the three kingdoms. So set a little tiny tier. And then the good thing about this story, though, is that he dies, and this is just a couple of years
The good thing
after.
about the story is he dies. Yes.
Well, he dies and then he gets reincarnated. And he pops up into Shibuya, in the middle of Shibuya on Halloween night. And have you guys ever been to Shibuya on Halloween?
Yep. I created Shibuya on Halloween.
You created
I was
what
there
does
at the
that
beginning.
Please elaborate on that
No,
bold claim.
I was just one of the early adapters.
Oh,
What
wow.
are the
cool.
early adapters?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, would you say it's a pretty wild event? I remember the burning car in 2018, but
Yeah, that was when I had already intied at that point.
you had to take a step back.
I think I went to Shibuya in 2013 and 2014 or something.
back when it was still a little bit tame.
Yeah, there was one time when Vitamin Water was doing a cosplay contest in Shibuya on Halloween, and then they gave us a bunch of Vitamin Water bags, which I still use
Oh,
to this
vitamin
day
water.
as eco bag.
Wow.
Oh wow, you can never stay hydrated enough. Oh, anyway, he comes into the midst of all of that madness. There's some skeleton people around who feed him tequila, and then he gets pretty drunk, which happens sometimes in
It
Sangoshi.
does in Sangoshi they also had
Also in
tequila.
Shibuya.
Also, well, they didn't have tequila, but they had people getting drunk all the time, and it makes for interesting outcomes in the stories. Oh, anyway, he gets drunk. They take him to a club, his first club ever. Absolutely blows his mind when he sees this girl on stage singing this song, and he's instantly just falling in love with not in a romantic
Not actually
sense, but
in love with her, yeah.
but not in love with her as a person, but with her music, with the sounds coming out of her mouth, and he just knows that. He gets a reason for living, and then he kind of passes out on the street, which has happened, I'm sure, to all of us at one time or another in Shibuya on Halloween. And
I would not pass out on the streets if I could help it.
you can help
Do you
it.
know
Yeah.
how much puke has been there?
When you think about it, it's kind of grody. But he wakes up the next day, and this girl, Eiko, or this young woman, Eiko, has taken him home and to her house, which we'll get into a little bit later, and then given him a place to stay. It's like, hey, now that you're sobered up, you should get out of here. But he's like, no, let me hear you sing. And she sings a song for him, and he just cannot get enough of this song. And then she's like, okay, well, why don't you come, since you don't have a job and you're kind of dressed like a weirdo, you can come to the place where I've been working. Maybe they'll give you a job. She's a very helpful person, a little bit of a... What do they call them? Sally Mae's?
Can I just, Mark? Are you planning to recap the entire first volume?
He's recapping the entire first volume.
I'm recapping the first volume.
You're going into
So
real
at what
depth
point,
here, right
and the
off the
story
top.
continues. What point?
We have to get to the best part, and then they meet the manager at the place where she works, and they're like, okay, we're gonna do this. This is gonna be great. We're gonna make Eiko into a star, and that's where the story unfolds.
Yeah.
But that's the synopsis, and everything goes on from there.
Yeah.
But now I have to ask you what you thought about it. Alex, you go first.
So at first I watched the anime when it came out, because I had heard that it was a good story, but actually I didn't feel like the anime was that well done. So then I was kind of like, forget this. But now I'm glad that I read the manga, because the manga was better, which is something that happens a lot. So all of you out there maybe don't... Well, I feel bad about saying don't watch the anime, but I feel like you would come away with a better impression of it if you read the manga, because it had me more interested in what's going to go on in the future than when I watched the anime, where I was like, I don't really care. Sorry.
Spicy. No, that's good.
They left Volume 1 on a cliffhanger. And
Yeah,
I
they really did.
accidentally purchased Volume 2 because Amazon has this button thing that pops up which is like buy now Volume 2, and I was confused and I clicked it and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So
it happens to us all the
reading
time.
Volume 2, but only partway through.
Sneaky. Okay, Jason, what'd you think?
This was one of the dumbest things I've ever read in my life. And I love dumb things, but there's good dumb and then there's just bad dumb, and this was the latter for me. I had the same experience as Alex with the anime. I heard people talking about it at work, actually, like, hey, there's this thing, Pari Pi Kome, and actually, so a little behind the scenes for everyone listening, Mark and I went through a sort of mutual Three Kingdoms phase. Well, mostly Mark did. He got really, really heavily into it.
I was into about half of a year of my life.
Half a year ago, yeah. And about half of a year of your life, you read through the entire series, which and you're infectiously into it. So I said, I'm going to get into this too. And to my credit, I read the first book in the series and some of the second book. And then I did the thing that I always do when I start big book series. I say, I'll read the rest later. And that later hasn't come yet. But it just so happened that at that time, the anime had just gotten started. So I said, this is perfect. I'm perfectly suited to enjoy the hilarity of this anime. And it was not good. I did not get through the first episode. And I said, okay, no problem. Not for me. It's fine. Probably the manga will be better. Flash forward, whatever, 6-8 months. No, the manga, the art.
Consistently disappointed.
The art was very, very nice. But man, just one of the stupidest. I was just kind of like shaking my head the entire time. I had a fun time reading it, but I wouldn't.
I have this later. I feel like it's a beach read.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah,
but it's like I feel like it's a beach read.
Or when would be a good time to read it is like literally you are drunk off your ass in Shibuya, but you stayed out too late. You couldn't get the last train home. You need to kill some time at the McDonald's before the first train comes. You know what I mean? That's a good time to read Pari Pi Kome.
It is a quick read. I think it was just a few hours, and I was already at volume 3, and I had to stop myself because I didn't need any more than
You're
that.
going to read the whole thing, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I've got this deep affection for Sangokshi, and it spoon feeds it a little bit. It's not all about that, and I think the deeper you go, the more rewarding it is. But
yeah.
But it's also a little bit of a different story. So it's not. It's
a little bit. Yeah, I'd say it's a little different than the original Three Kingdoms.
Here's the one thing that I wanted to ask, as someone who's never seen the anime, how do they do the songs? Is there actual music in it?
Yeah.
What do you think, dude? Of course.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Do you think they just cut away?
Yeah, maybe.
Type like she's like, oh, look, whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, I can't even remember. Like, I think they just like made up a really shitty song and then
because like this whole thing precipices on the fact that she has this most amazing voice that draws you in, and then there's the rap dude that comes out later, knows like, the best lyrics in the world and whatnot, and his rhymes are just so vicious that he pulls on everyone around him.
But okay, for these type of anime, you always have to like just put in that worldview that this person is supposed to be like the most angelic voice, because at the end of the day, they're all like voice actors whose not main job. I mean, I don't know about the Eiko's voice actress, but usually their main job is not singing. So
also, if you've heard any pop idol, I'm not sure their main job is singing either. So it's not like the bar is set super high. You know what I mean? So when my memory of the anime is like, so I'm a pretty big fan of Perfume. I think Perfume does a lot of good work. Imagine like D tier Perfume. That's kind of
okay.
That's
a little
kind
bit
of what I remember
going on.
Yeah, there's, man, like,
Laser
can we get
beam.
into the manga? Like, they spent so much time talking about BPM. Like,
Yeah, it was
breaking
funny.
it down exactly how many BPM you need to have in each situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were a lot of beats in the anime, a lot of beats. The music may have been the high point in the anime, actually.
This is just a losing battle all around.
I feel like the animation budget was maybe not large, so maybe that's also
not super
why
high.
I had a bad impression of it.
Is it one of those ones where like the background never moves for about 30 seconds and it's just like one person's mouth moving?
Remember in Sailor Moon how there would just be like, the background would just be like a gradation of dark pink to light pink and then like bubbles, but everything is static? It's like, it's not too much more in depth than that.
Okay, I mean, we were just coming up the pandemic. Not everyone could go into the studio. You have to
They did it.
to make
They
the
did it from
shortcuts
home.
where you can. They did it
It
from
was
home.
the first work from home
Work
anime
from home.
series.
Work from home. It happens. It happens. Okay, well, let's get into the questions. I know how you feel about it. And look, I must level with you. I know this is not the single greatest piece of literary perfection in the world, but I still think there's something that we can get out of this. And I think if you're listening at home, you should decide for yourself if you want to check out the manga or the anime. We're gonna dig in a little bit deeper with these questions. First up, Jason, this one is for you. How is this story different from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? Go.
I love that you asked this because the entire time I was reading this manga, I was like, this could have been done so much better. And I kept thinking of the scenes from Bill and Ted where Napoleon is at the kids' restaurant with the kids and he's trying to eat all the ice cream. And full disclosure, like for some reason, coincidentally, I happened to watch Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure like 3 or 4 months ago.
Wow.
I happened to get really sick. It wasn't COVID, I found out, but I thought it was. I was just like laid up in bed for like 2 days and my brain was not fully functioning. And I'm texting with my friend. I'm like, I need to watch a movie, but it needs to be something really dumb. What do you recommend? And we came to the conclusion that I should watch Bill and Ted. And I did. And so how is this different from Bill and Ted? Well, they're both extremely stupid. But I think the biggest difference for me between this and Bill and Ted, I mean, obviously, one big difference is Bill and Ted, you got like a whole bunch of different historical figures kind of like jamming together, right? Which was fun. That creates this whole dynamic. But one of the problems I had with the manga is like, yes, Kongming, he's like a pretty funny, interesting character, I guess. But Eiko is just kind of a nothing. She's just kind of a little puff with like no real personality, nothing. She's supposed to be playing off Kome like comedically, but it never really gets off the ground. But Bill and Ted, I mean, iconic. Those dudes are hilarious. Now, that movie hasn't aged that well in a lot of ways, and there's some language in it that I was sort of shocked by, but they're still great characters. They're totally lovable dudes. Like, I would totally hang out with Bill and Ted any day of the week. Eiko, I'd be like, I don't know. You know, I got to check my calendar. Yeah. So that was the biggest difference for me. I think you got to have both. If you're going to have this fish out of water historical thing, the historical character and the present day character both have to be, you know, really great. And that didn't happen here.
Oh, no, that was a perfect answer. Alex, anything to add to that?
I don't think that Kongming or Kome is thinks anything of Eiko's personality or her cognitive abilities, unfortunately.
Yeah, she's just like a pawn on his chessboard.
Yeah, she's just
right?
a pawn, which is
No, that's a good point. It's way different than his relationship with Jubi too. Like, he was really drawn to the person of Jubi, and the thing about him is, like, of the three kings or whatever in these three kingdoms, you had Soso, who is like super smart, super great dude, just like a great leader, and he fucking loved people. He was always getting the best generals, always getting the best politicians, pulling them in. He knew exactly how to give these people whatever they wanted. It's like, was it a really high salary? Was it a lot of stock options? Like, this, was it huge tracts of land? This guy was able to read people like a book and give them whatever they needed in order for him to stay on the side. And then for Go, you had Song Kang and all those people on that side, and they were kind of like super big warriors, and they had a lot of pride, and they had like their own unique culture.
The brawnier people.
They're the brawny people, and they did some really good stuff, but also they were kind of sneaky too. So they were like, oh yeah, well, you know, we're kind of serving you, so, but not really. And just a few years later.
Hey, Alex, can I ask you a question?
What?
Do you feel like Eiko felt in the manga right now when her manager and Kongming were just like...
I don't
'Cause I
know,
do.
because I can't figure
Like,
out
what's
what
he
Eiko
talking
felt
about?
like. Other than she was like, I don't understand like what's going on, but I do kind of understand where you're coming from. You're coming from a place of love, and you love these historical figures. So
I do love these historical figures, but Yubi is like he's like the
Wait,
perfect.
no, wait. We're here to talk about the manga. We're not here to talk about actual Sangokshi.
wait,
You
so I have
can't
a
stealth.
question. Just like I only read part of volume 2, and it didn't happen yet. But so are other characters from Sangokushi, are they gonna appear?
No, at least not as far as Volume 3 goes.
Oh,
There's none.
okay. I mean, I feel like that's a little bit like, yeah, wasted opportunity then. Like,
Yeah.
'cause-
What they did do that I
Uh-huh.
thought was really good is, at least in the Japanese version of Three Kingdoms, there are these poems that are really central to the story, and then they brought some of those poems into the rap battle.
Oh, that's
With-
pretty
with this
cool.
rap that they get.
Okay,
That was cool.
That
was
is
nice.
not in volume 1. That actually sounds kind of neat.
It was
but,
cool, but it also didn't really work in a rhyming sense. So
Also,
wondering
yeah, I
how
would
they made
love
that
to hear
happen on
those
anime.
poems set to like a dope beat. It's kind of hard to imagine. But
I
hey,
think all the hottest beats are like ancient Chinese poems.
I mean, I feel like my listening, I just need to expand the strike zone that I've had, because I don't have that in my life now.
give it time.
All right, I'm on to my next question. Alex, favorite panel in Volume 1 and why?
Like I mean, I thought the opening was very strong, where he like lands in Shibuya, and then it was funny when he goes into the club, and then Eiko starts singing, and she's coincidentally got devil horns. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought that was like a fun scene of like the first introduction to her is like she is a devil of this like underworld. And then I think that like the later on when they're doing the like multi-level club, I don't know, the multi-floor club thing, where he sets up his like military strategy of putting similarly dressed gentlemen near bathrooms and like Christmas
So
trees to like
So stupid.
confuse
Oh
everyone.
my god. That was maybe
I mean,
the
like I
dumbest
could
part.
see drunk people. Like I just imagine
It was a reach. They were
drunk
digging.
people confused
The way so
and like wandering around like
for either of you, like that area in front of the bathrooms, like the dance floor area, where somehow he uses literally smoke and mirrors to like make
Yeah.
everyone trapped. Didn't it look to you like a 10-foot by 10-foot area? I was
I
like,
think
how could
most people would be able to find their way out of there.
he found the absolute.
Maybe everyone's as dumb as Eiko, and this is just the world we live
It's
in.
also kind of a famous club too, so it's not like just a new place that people are going for the first time ever.
Can I want to raise this question, and feel free to dismiss it if I'm way off base here, but like, could there be some commentary happening here about like maybe Shibuya party people are kind of dumb? Or am I reading too much? Like
That's a hot take.
I'm not the one saying that. I'm suggesting that perhaps this manga is forwarding that assertion.
I think Kome. Well, I don't know, Alex. What do you think? I've got a thought, but I'll save it.
Yeah, but do I think that Shibuya party P are dumb?
Or do you think
not
that the
asking
manga?
you that.
No, do you think this manga is asserting that Shibuya Party P are not the sharpest crayons? And
I mean, I do think. Well, I mean, they're also drunk, so okay, I'll throw them a
Fair.
bone and say that they're drunk, so maybe they have normal cognitive abilities in this situation.
Kome did pass out free drinks. That was part of the strategy.
And who knows what
One
was
get
in
him
those
drunk.
drinks?
Yeah, no, we don't know. I mean,
That's
but we
fair.
know that he's putting recipes on Cookpad. Is Cookpad still a thing, by the way?
Yeah, I use it all the time. I used
Yeah,
it over the
that's-
weekend to make, what the heck did I make? Well, I made something with it. Get back to me. It turned
It
out
was-
pretty well.
It was delicious. Okay, Jason,
Oh.
what was? Do you got
No,
it?
anyway, who cares? We're not here to talk about Jason's kitchen. That's a separate podcast.
That is a separate podcast. Be sure to check that out on jasonskitchens.com. Jason, what was your favorite panel and why?
There's no way to say this in a way that's going to sound anything other than what it is, but it was clearly Eiko in the shower. Not because I was like, whoa, hot, a lady in the shower, but just because it's so over the top gratuitous that I was like, what is this?
It literally took the wind out of you.
Yeah. I'm reading along. I'm like, wow, this manga sure is dumb. Like, Kome spends about 2 pages in, ancient China, and then like 3 pages into the manga, he's suddenly in Shibuya, and the story is just happening.
Yeah.
And then like 20 pages in, it's just a full page up her butt shot in the shower.
And it's also up her butt.
It's like the craziest perspective.
They had to place fog.
But the fog doesn't even look like fog. It just looks like they pixelated out the area that you're not allowed to show.
It's like, whenever I see panels like that, I like think, how could I even pose my body to like do that?
Exactly.
It's like you can't.
You can't. No, it's not real.
And then, follow-up answer is the exact same shot happens again in chapter 2 with what's her name working out at the gym. Yeah. And I was like, oh, so this is just an ongoing theme in this manga. It's not only fish out of water historical.
You transition by showing.
Here comes another part of the story.
Forget star swipes. Forget a clock on the wall
like
ticking.
The next day, ass.
Yeah, here's someone's ass. And then don't we see the manager's ass too? He's wearing a suit and everything, and it's not quite as voluptuous, but like it's basically the same pose. So I mean, I know every mangaka has like their thing that they like to draw, but like clearly we know what Ogawa Ryo's thing is, and he's pretty good at it, I gotta say. But like, wow, is it out of place? So. Yeah, definitely that was my favorite panel in terms of shock value and getting a reaction out of me.
Oh, gosh. No, I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, that scene was one of the reasons I was like, do I really want to make you guys read this? Because I thought you were going to bring it up. But
no, I loved it. That was maybe my favorite scene, just because I was like, what the
you
fuck?
thought Jason was going to open it on a train and show everyone.
Look at everyone. Can you believe this filth? Look at this. Yeah. No, I'm happy to say I read this one at home. I was not on the train this time.
That's right. You might want to be careful.
And I'm not a prude. I mean, I like butts as much as the next guy, but just blindsided by a butt. You know what I mean? We've all been there.
Blindsided by a butt. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, no, I didn't see it coming either. Because like Eiko's drawn very cutely in her like first scenes.
Yeah,
so she
and all the
actually,
scenes after that one.
Like, so I didn't think she was like, packing, and then all of a sudden it's like. Yep.
Yep, and that brings us to our next question. So Eiko takes Kome home with her after she finds him passed out drunk on the sidewalk in Sentagai. What would you do if you found the strange man dressed in questionable raiment in a similar situation? Alex?
So like I have a sad story of when I was like 20 or 21. I actually saw a strange man, but not dressed up like he was from ancient China. But just on the ground, and I was kind of like worried because I hadn't really seen people like on the ground just in the middle of the street before, and I thought like I should call someone or I should do something, and so like I tried to get him up, and then he grabbed me and started screaming at me, and like I had to like wrestle him away from me, and I had to like run full speed. This is in Japan, by the way.
Alex.
And I was just like screaming and crying.
That is
and I learned
terrifying.
my lesson that day.
That is terrifying. Also, that happens all the time in The Last of Us.
Yeah, I mean, that was
well, maybe
before
this guy
Last of
isn't
Us
a
came
zombie.
out.
Let me just check.
He's
I know the
probably a
last
looter.
15 guys that I've found have all turned out to be zombies, but maybe this guy's different.
Did you get away?
I mean,
she's here on the show. I mean,
I was like seriously crying because he was running after me for a few blocks. So I was like, am I going to get murdered tonight? Yeah.
Well, we've come
now
this far in the story.
I can look back and laugh at it, but
oh wow,
was he screaming coherently, or was it just?
He was probably drunk or something. I don't know. He was wearing like you know how some people have like Sagyoin type like over like entire,
so
like,
Sagyoin is like a construction guy
like construction
outfits.
worker or some kind of like worker type thing. But it was like night anyway. It was very strange.
People can't work at night.
Yeah, well, he's probably done working if he was.
Yeah, he's probably done working, and then maybe passed out on the way to the station.
Maybe he just worked too hard. Maybe he was really exhausted.
Yeah, but then like, why did he grab me and scream and
That's
run
terrifying.
after
He was
me?
obviously startled, but
I'm glad you're
no
okay.
excuse.
Yeah.
That's a terrifying story.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
so my advice to every Eiko out there: don't try to be a hero. Get somebody else to pick up the like drunk guy, and also don't
Amen.
take a drunk guy to your house. I mean, as much as I want to believe in the goodness of man, don't take a random stranger off the street and then put them in your house.
It's pretty
Eiko
good advice.
breaking all the rules.
Yeah.
Wow. Jason, what would you do?
I mean, there's so many variables to consider here. The way you phrase the question, right? Like he's wearing questionable arraignment. It depends. What's he wearing? You know what I mean? If it's just like a toga.
So what's an acceptable? Sorry, what's an
Yeah.
acceptable one?
Well,
Sagoin.
I think Sagoin is acceptable. Like, what if it was like someone who was wearing like a really nice suit and they just look like, maybe they got a little bit drunk. Like, but the question is questionable arraignment.
So well, that's what I mean, right? Like, so if it's just like a toga or like just a guy wearing a towel, I'd be like, nope, I'm not even going to investigate this one. But if he was wearing like, let's say he was dressed like Tutankhamun, right? Like just a full,
A pharaoh, full on pharaoh.
full pharaoh regalia, I'd at least be like, hey man, what's your story? What's going
So
on?
your
over here?"
interest would be piqued a bit.
Totally.
So it's about the historicity of the person in question.
totally like what era is he representing? What what does he bring? What persona does he bring to mind?
What does he bring to you at the table in your
Well,
life?
I immediately think forward into the future. What anecdotes could I regale my friends with years after the fact? You know what I
That's
mean?
a very important part of the equation.
And do his clothes potentially fit me as well? Like perhaps we have a clothing swap in store,
man,
right? So
you're
there's a
gonna
lot.
loot?
Yeah. Also,
You, my friend, are also playing three-dimensional chess.
I always am, especially when it comes to strange encounters on the street. Also, let's not mince words here. Aroma comes into question as well, right? How powerful is his aroma? And I got to be honest. I've got a wife and 2 little children, so bringing anyone home unannounced is going to be a conversation in and of itself. So,
I don't know. It's
a recipe for trouble.
does he seem like he'd be good with kids? Like
Can you
would
make
they-
breakfast?
Yeah, so many questions to consider. So I'm going to say maybe. It
Okay.
depends. It
Okay.
depends.
We'll put that on it. Well, Jason, have you ever experienced the Shibuya Club scene, and how do you think this manga captures the vibe?
I'm
so.
so okay. In my younger years, I used to go to a lot of shows, like lots of different kinds of music, like rock shows, hip hop shows, all kinds of electronic stuff. But I always hated going to the club. You know what I mean? I do not get the appeal. No, that's not true. I get the appeal, but I just do not like the vibe. So the closest thing. I don't think I've ever been to a club in Shibuya, but I know I've been to Gas Panic, the infamous club in Roppongi. And that was a thing that I did once, and then I said, well, check that off the list.
Never have to go again.
Yeah.
So when I was there, a guy stepped on my shoe, and I tried to say to him, like, hey, man, don't step on my shoe. And he responded to me like he just like really came at me, and I thought he was going to kill me. And I was like, this is not the spot where I need to be. And so to answer your question, yeah, I think this manga captures the vibe perfectly.
Captures it. Oh,
I assume
Alex,
so.
Alex, what about you? Any dabbling in the club scene, and how do you think this manga captures that?
I dabbled a bit due to friends wanting to do it,
Due to
and
friends.
just being girls, you usually go in a group for safety's sake. Which Eiko doesn't seem concerned with, which is a little bit like strange to me of how like
She
freely
makes a lot of questionable life decisions.
yeah. How
Guys,
freely
can we
lives
just
her life.
pretend it's 1 decade ago, and I'm going to ask maybe 2 decades at this point. Is Eiko a manic pixie dream girl?
Yeah, I think she
She
is.
totally is, right? Okay, sorry,
'Cause,
I
like,
didn't
if
mean
this
to
were
interrupt.
real Japan, I feel like one of these like skeezy club guys would have made her a lot more distrustful of everything.
Oh no!
So I mean,
I just
don't wanna
imagined
be,
like the realistic version of Eiko's story.
yeah.
Oh, no.
She would be a lot more jaded. And probably she would smoke.
Yeah, that's
vape.
one thing that was suspiciously missing from all of this is no one was smoking. Ever.
Does nobody smoke at all? Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
it was 2019, so it was after they changed the laws in
Yeah, but I
Tokyo.
feel like a
but
lot
still,
of those
yeah.
kind of like club people still were smoking, but I don't know, maybe I'm like
At
old
least the
now.
e-cigs.
Yeah, because as I said before, all of my experiences from like 10 years ago. Now I'm realizing. So maybe everything's changed since then. Because I also thought that it was strangely empty, how Eiko's floor was strangely empty. Because like I think even if there's a club and there's somebody who's not that well known, wouldn't there be kind of people there just because they want to drink more and like there's the drink kiosks are less crowded or something like that? Like I
Maybe
feel like
they need a
the
place
clubs
for a
are
quiet
pretty-
conversation.
Even out on the street, like after they leave the club, it's they're literally the only two people in the frame.
Yeah,
As-
like
as far as I-
everything is very empty.
Yeah.
Which I think is a drawing constraint. Probably it always seemed like in
didn't
your
have enough budget to
story,
add more
Jason.
people.
Like there's always somebody to step underfoot, or there's always somebody like right behind you or in your way. So there's a lot of pushing through people with my memories.
Oh yeah, just wall of humanity. Absolutely, yeah. And how could you? I'm trying to think about how you could capture that in a manga and still have the visual storytelling be clear enough to like tell a story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how would you draw
Like I
that?
feel
Just
like people would like
crowds of people everywhere.
Skomu would like talk about like Komei's like dress more. Like he's always just like around and people are like very okay with it.
But let me ask you this. This just occurred to me, but both of you have spent time in Shibuya. We've all spent significant time in Shibuya. But if you saw a guy dressed like Kongming in Shibuya, I'm not even sure. I'd probably like do a double take, but I wouldn't be like, whoa, I would just be like, oh yeah, that's a
I think that you
Shibuya
would do
guy.
a double take though, but I think some people would be filming on their camera phone. Like they would
Oh,
be
for
doing
sure,
that
yeah,
like
that's a
the
good point.
entire time because they
Yeah,
would
yeah,
think that it's probably part of some kind of like TV thing. And
Mm-hmm.
they want to like capture it so they can put it on social media later. Unfortunately,
Weirdly
that's
enough,
the
if we're
reality.
talking about real life Shibuya, I bet a guy dressed as Kongming would get more attention now that this stupid anime has happened than would have 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Without question. Okay, moving on. If you could be Kome, and you get to wear the dress, go through Shibuya, do whatever you want. This is entirely up to you. And travel through time and lead one artist to greatness, past or present. Who would it be? Alex.
So see, the thing is, I felt like this question was a false pretense because we need to choose somebody who nobody knows yet, or else like
Whoa.
our greatness wouldn't be known as a strategist, right?
That's a good point.
But if there's somebody that I just want to like give the bump to, there's a Japanese rabbit illustrator named Shinako, and she makes line stamps that I probably sent you before with like little cute rabbits.
Those ones are adorable.
Yeah, and I just want to bump her because she should be the world's #1 rabbit illustrator. So if I
Do we know
were
for a fact that she's
Kongming,
not?
I would make sure that she became the world's #1 rabbit illustrator.
Let's quickly go around the room and all name our top 5 favorite rabbit illustrators.
Shinako. It's a number
Well,
one.
Shinako, if you're listening, you're definitely my favorite rabbit illustrator already.
Whoa, wait, what about Margaret Wise Brown, Goodnight Moon? There are a lot of bunnies in that. And then she also has...
Yes, but we're talking still alive.
Oh,
Like historical rabbit illustrators is a whole
I mean, like
other
Beatrix
discussion.
Potter is like the,
Yeah,
of course,
exactly.
undisputed like queen of like rabbit illustration. So
But
I
unfortunately
feel
no
like
longer with
Shinako
us.
should like level up,
Ah.
be like Peter Rabbit status.
but even like Beatrix Potter, she was always dipping into like other genres. She was really into
Yeah.
isekai. Did you read The Tale of Timmy Tiptoes? Because that was clearly a squirrel and not a rabbit.
I was always a Jemima Puddle Duck fan, personally.
Outside the rabbit quarter, but still, yeah.
But I was also the
animals.
guy who's like, forget about Bugs Bunny, give me Daffy Duck all day long. You know what I mean? Maybe I just like ducks. These are hot takes. Hot Beatrix Potter takes.
Hot takes indeed.
Sorry,
Jason,
what about you, Jason? Do you have anyone
yeah.
you want to bump?
Yeah, so one of my big problems with this manga, and one of the reasons I think it's so stupid, is because it's actually a pretty cool premise to take this amazing military strategist and put him in the modern day, right? Now, you think about all of the arenas in life that require real strategy, like real strategic thinking. You've got politics, you've got actual military stuff, you've got sports, you've got even like I don't know, architecture. Like there's so many cool things you could apply.
Even
really
child caring.
Yeah.
Now,
Or
Japan
medicine.
could use that.
Yeah, medicine, even just like corporate life, right? What if you thought about the bottom 5 fields of entertainment in regard to strategic, like really local pop idols, that's where you're going to apply your world-class military strategic might. Like,
But
it's
that
just,
voice, though.
it's so stupid. Like
I didn't know that Shibuya had such a cutthroat, like indie band scene though.
But like they have to come up with the most inane scenarios for him to even be able to apply his strategic thinking. Like it's just anyway. So to answer the question, definitely like the 1995, 1996, 1997 Utah Jazz with Karl Malone and John Stockton. Historically great team. A lot of people don't realize that Karl Malone was the second, well now third all-time leading scorer in NBA history. Like they would have won championships at any other point in history, probably, except they kept running into Michael Jordan's Bulls.
They needed a Gunshi.
I mean, I think they actually only met in the finals one time, but like, I just feel like if not that Utah Jazz team, then maybe like Charles Barkley's Phoenix Suns team. Like just, I would love to get into the 90s NBA and just like have someone beat Michael Jordan in the finals just once.
Just once.
Because he got there 6 times and he won 6 times. And it's like...
And then he left to go play baseball. I still don't get that.
Yeah, well, because he was like, well, clearly
like,
no one's going to beat
conquered
me.
that, so go on to the next,
Actually, that's maybe a better answer. If I was Komei, I would have been Michael Jordan's baseball coach.
You got to do this, man. The White Sox. Okay. Gosh, no. You actually pointed out something that's pretty central to one of the most important questions on here. So, if you could change one thing about Party Beat to make it better, what would it be? Alex, I'm gonna flip to you.
Yeah, actually, no. Like, I think that Jason has maybe the point that I was thinking of. Like, I don't feel like this is the best use of this premise. So, but it's like a big issue. So, it kind of destroys everything.
Well,
So
you
it's
lose
always having
Eiko, is probably the
problems.
weakest character in the series.
Yeah, like,
And then you lose my favorite panel as a result.
Like Eiko doesn't bring anything. Is like she's the weakest link, definitely. So maybe if she could be more like, okay, so maybe if it wasn't Eiko, if it was like but gym girl. I forgot her name.
Rihanna. I've been referring to her as Rihanna.
Wasn't it Mia
But gym
something?
girl.
It was.
If it
But
was
in my
like a
notes, I
more
call her Rihanna.
hungry individual, maybe I would like that better.
Eiko's definitely not hungry, and she doesn't get any hungrier as you get deeper into the story.
She
She's
almost
always just-
doesn't seem to really care.
No, she doesn't.
Every
She's
time
just
she
kinda
scores,
in it.
yeah, every time she scores a major victory, she's like, "Hey, thanks, Komei." And
Like
he's
if
like,
they were
"Yeah."
That was
more
kinda cool.
partners
Yeah.
in crime, I feel like I would enjoy it more, like the duo. Like I really like dynamic duo types,
Yeah.
where they're like in it together. But she's
Like
not
Bill
in
and
it at
Ted?
all. She's not.
Or like the original trio in Sangokshi.
Oh.
So the 3 kings, Ice Cube, who else was in there?
No,
Mark Wahlberg. Who's the third guy?
I
Anyway,
don't even know. So. I'm talking about Yubi, Chohi, and Kang. Like,
So,
if it was like
yeah.
those people, if they had that sort of relationship where they were
Yeah.
like, they go at midnight and they do the vow where they like share blood with one another, and they're like, we're going to take on the music world together. If there was that sort of dynamic, I can see it. But no, it feels like Eiko is just like stumbling through her private life, and then her baito job that she has at the BB Lounge, and then also she's going to be the greatest singer in the world, and then her dream is to like perform at this festival in Belgium, which I didn't really get.
Yeah, it was very particular. It was very pinpoint. I was like,
very pinpoint. Oh. We are going to. I looked it up. Vulture Land in Belgium. I don't know if this is a real festival or if it's supposed to be, but I feel like they could have. It could have gone a little bit higher with that. Maybe fleshed out that backstory a little bit more. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Why that one in particular? Is that like where the singer that she first like got her groove from? Is that where that singer is like known to perform or something? I don't know.
They get into that singer a little bit more in Volume 3, and it's very clearly Ariana Grande. But no, that singer is from America. So I don't get the Belgium connection. So maybe I got to keep reading. Jason, what about you? I mean, look, you've already pointed out a fatal flaw in the story. That one, Koumei, with all his Koumei-ness and incredible powers of perception, persuasion. I mean, this guy can do anything, right? All he needs is a master to serve. Then he would have been way off. Like, I don't know. It would be really funny if he could get behind a potential Japan PM candidate and help lead them to greatness. Then maybe.
Oh man, I don't know if I want to read that one though.
Yeah, that would be depressing.
What would you change?
Well, yeah, I think the big thing we've already covered, which is just like give him something more interesting to be doing. But the other problem, well, yet another problem I had with this manga was like stuff kind of just happens with no setup at all or explanation. So we already talked about like he gets transported to Shibuya after 3 pages, right? And then also, what was the other one? This festival in Belgium. Like, is this a reference to something in real life that I'm supposed to be getting, or is this just a completely random choice?
Oh, you don't know about Belgium's preeminence on the international music stage?
So, but then the worst offender for me was like, Eiko brings Koumei to meet her manager, and like the first thing he says is, "Oh, so you're Koumei." Like he just has no trouble at all believing that this actual historical figure.
I don't have problems with like in a manga. It's like
yeah, but like especially in a manga like this, you would at least expect like one comedic panel where he's like exaggerated reaction, like whoa, but he's just like, oh yes, of course, hello. And not only that, he happens to be like the world's preeminent expert in Sangokshi also,
when you're
even though he's a club manager
in Shibuya, you've seen it all.
This is true. This is true. But just the fact that he's also like super into Sangokshi, and Eiko had no idea about that, and just like all of these, there's so many moments in this manga where I was like, this is so why is this stupid thing happening? And this is coming from someone who loves manga even when it is stupid, but something about this manga's brand of stupid was
even
just
the
not.
Butts couldn't make you see past it.
The butts did a lot to do damage control. If there hadn't been those butts, I don't know where we'd be right now. But yeah, so just better telegraphing of important plot beats, I guess, would have made it more enjoyable for me.
Okay, and I'm gonna close this down now. Alex, how would you rate Volume 1?
So I would say like I don't know, like I guess last time we had like numbers or something, so maybe I would give it like a 6 out of 10. In that, as I said in the beginning, it's like a good beach read, and it's like something that I feel if I read Volume 1 and then time passed and then I read Volume 2, I think I could get into it again because it isn't complicated. And you don't have to like catch up on like all the character development. So it's easy, and then also it's entertaining. So yeah, it's entertaining and easy, but it's not a deep story of.
No, it's definitely not as deep.
Make you question life or anything.
Is there any particular brand of reader or genre of reader that you would recommend the story to?
Well, I mean, like you, somebody, like, I think that I would appreciate it more if I had known a bit more about Three Kingdoms, but I don't know anything about it. So when he was explaining all of the Three Kingdoms stuff, I was just like, oh, okay. And I had no emotional attachment to that. But if I did,
Just skip right over
I
that.
think I would have been like, oh, cool, that's like that. So
There's a lot of referencing. Okay, Jason, what about you? How do you rate it?
I would give this 1 out of a possible 3 kingdoms because the art's pretty nice in spots. I think it's pretty expressive. Like there's a couple little funny parts that I like, some kind of good visual storytelling, like when the guy orders a drink at the bar and before he's even finished ordering the drink, Kome already has it for him. Like he's also just the world's best bartender. So there's some good little visual gags. I thought the art was pretty nice, but it's not the kind of book that I was like, I'm angry that I spent my time on this. I want my time back. But also I'm like, I am extremely good with not reading any more of this particular manga. So who would I recommend it to? I think actual party pee, like actual club going party people. Mostly just because I would want to find out what their reaction is. Like, does this ring true to you? Hey, you're actually a self-professed party pee. Do you see yourself in this? You know, I'd like to have maybe 4 a.m. at a McDonald's somewhere near Shibuya Station.
I just start passing out free
Yeah,
volumes.
just, hey, yeah. Have you heard the good news?
I need to get your opinion on this. But you have to dress up as Kome while you're doing it.
Obviously, yeah.
Oh yeah, there'd be no problem with that culturally.
Oh my gosh, I wonder if they actually put this, if you were to search right now online for costumes, if this would be one of the ones out there.
Well, I want to tell you something.
Please do.
Listeners cannot see this, but my Zoom background right now is a picture of this anime, Paripi Kome. And I wanted to get an actual gorgeous illustration of like historical figure Kome. But when you put Kome into Google, the top 50 image results are all from this manga and anime. So I was kind of...
I looked him up, but then I got like the Wikipedia article, which has
there is
this
ancient
image of him with a very interesting hairdo. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, no, it's probably the one from the novel in the 14th century.
Yes.
Like those illustrations, they dominate the Sangokshi scene.
Yeah. I may be exaggerating with top 50, but I was really surprised with like the paripi to non-paripi quotient. So yeah,
Well,
it's popular.
Can I ask you another question? Like, what do you think it was that just, because I experienced the same thing. It was around, it was right around the time the anime launched in spring of last year of 2022. Everyone was talking about this thing. Like, it was such a, but what do you think it was that just captured the attention of such a broad swath of people?
I mean, part of it is just something that you explained to me, Mark, when you were reading the novels, is just like how deeply embedded Sangokshi is in the pop culture of not only of Japan, like this whole part of the world, but like these characters are really well known, really beloved, and they're almost like archetypes. So I think just the idea of this character being put into this situation, and I don't think there had been any like modern Sangokshi media preceding this, like in recent years.
Other than video games, no, I don't think so.
So I think it's just like he's so well known. He's such a household concept that like it's the kind of thing that just appeals to so many different kinds of people, because like you learn about him in school, you just kind of hear about him in your life, and then there he is. It's easy to watch, you know. There's a low barrier to entry.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, I think that about hits the nail on the head. Alex, any insights onto why this series was able to ride such a wave of popularity?
Yeah, I mean, exactly those reasons. Like, I only knew about it because my husband said, oh, there's this thing called Paripi Kome, and I was like, what's it about? And he's like, Kome is a paripi. That's all I know.
It does what it says on the tin.
They had the gimmick down right. Okay, well, that is it for this episode of Mangaroos. If you have a recommendation for us to read a manga, or if you just want to share who your favorite character in Sangokshi is, please reach us at, Jason, what's that email address?
You can email us at mangaroospodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Also, subscribe to the podcast in case you haven't already. Give us a review wherever you listen to it. Tell a friend about it. The more the merrier. We want to have as many people to talk to manga about as possible. Also, I think we have an Instagram now, don't we?
Yeah, it's mangaroos.podcast.
Nice. So you can do whatever people do on Instagram, which is something I'm very familiar with.
And that's right. The best part about the podcast is that it happens every week. And coming up next week, we've got a new series. Alex, what's it about?
So following the historical figures trend is Sayonara Sorushe by Hotsumi about the Van Gogh brothers. And I read it like 10 years ago, and then I forgot about it, and it was on my shelf, and then you brought it to Steam, and I was like, I'll bring it out again. So I need to reread it again. But it's about Theo, or Theodorus Van Gogh, the brother of Vincent Van Gogh.
Very cool. And I think this will be the oldest manga that we've read so far on the show. Or for the show, right?
Yeah, it's from like 2013, back when I was a party piece.
It's got to knock some of the rust off. Thanks for hanging out with us. That's going to do it for tonight. Stay safe out wherever you are, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
But I am recording.
Okay. And you sound fantastic. All right, here we're gonna clap. Remember, it's on 3.
Can we try something new instead of the 1, 2, 3 thing? Because we always fuck it up. Can we just do say no? What if we just did say no?
Okay.
Because I think we can't mess that up, right?
Really?
Okay. Here we go.
Well, let's try.
Let's try it. Say no.
See, that was pretty good.
Basically.
Okay, that works.
I think we did it. Good job, team.
Yay.
Let's wrap it up now.
Yep.
Are we ready to go home?
Go out on a high note.